Welcome to Escape Purgatory, a podcast where we rewatch Supernatural, then talk it through in the hopes that we can finally escape the show.
Join us each week, leave comments on upcoming episodes, and together we can escape Supernatural Purgatory.
This week, we are talking about Season 3, Episode 6, Red Sky at Morning.
I don't know if it's just because I'm from somewhere that has a lot of chic. But I always thought the saying was, red sky in the morning, shepherd's warning, red sky at night, shepherd's delight. But
yeah,
apparently the more commonly used saying is it's sailors, not shepherds.
Oh.
Which makes sense this episode.
Yes, it does. Because I was having the same thought as you, because I was like, what has this got to do with sheep?
Yeah.
or like cattle or farming. That's where my brain also went. I did, yeah, okay. Well, I learned something new.
I'm glad.
This is a good one. Bella's back.
Lauren
yes.
Power.
Sup, girl? So, I know the last time she was on the, or her introductory episode, we were talking about her accent. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go listen to some of her interviews. And she has a really bizarre accent coming from someone who also has a very bizarre accent. It's definitely the accent of someone who grew up one place, moved to America, and is still in contact with the people that she grew up with, or like family and stuff. So she hasn't lost that, but she's picked up American accent too. And it's very, very strange. If you hearing her talk normally, I probably would peg her as someone who grew up in like maybe an area of like South Africa. It's really, really a strange one. It's cool, but it's strange. So like hearing her go from that to the RP, I'm like, that's quite a change. That's quite a change.
I feel like British people have to do this with their actors, especially on TV shows. Maybe not so much in movies nowadays, but like you have to ham it up a bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's kind of a shame because like I would like to see, like, I'm really annoyed that John Boyega had to put an American accent on for the Star Wars movies. Why couldn't Rey and Finn both have English accents?
I don't know. Right, yeah. And specifically, like, because he's got like a regional London accent too.
I've told Amy this before, but I've had people question the fact that I've said I'm from England because black people are not in England, apparently.
Wow. What?
Yes.
It's about representation, right? Because
exactly.
I mean, in the UK, it's maybe a little bit better than in America, a little bit. It's not amazing for representation still, but at least you do have like people on TV with like regional accents, at least, and black people on TV with British regional accents. Yeah,
and the thing is like, you know, you think of the world, and most of the world consume American media. Yeah. So you know that black people exist in your own country because you see them. So it's like, you know, it's like I love Luther for the fact that Idris Elba has a regional accent. He's I can't remember, I was listening to an interview of somebody that like it was on the BBC, right? Or is it Channel 4?
Yeah, no, it's BBC, yeah.
Yeah. So the BBC were like, oh, you know, we have to make it like the cultural awareness person. It was like, we need to make him more black.
What?
And the people were like, no. He's an Londoner who's a police officer who is just black. Yeah. We don't need to make him a black man who has these jobs. It's like he has these jobs and he's also black. Yeah. So yeah, coming back to the episode, and who did this episode?
Okay, so this episode was written by Lawrence Andrews. Don't think that they've written on the show before, and directed by Cliff Boyle. Or Boyle. I'm going to say Bowl.
Boel.
Boyle.
We'll just call him Cliff.
Yeah, just call him Cliff. I think I could tell the directorial style reminded me a little of Kim Manners. Like, you could see the sort of influence there, I feel, at times.
Yeah. I think I mentioned this before, but you know, when people get like nostalgic for old Supernatural, I didn't realize it was like the first 2.5 seasons, and that was kind of it.
I mean, yeah, the lighting's brighter now. Like the camera angles are different. The way they act is different in season 3. Yeah, old Supernatural is not just seasons 1 to 5. It's seasons 1 to 2. Seasons 3 to 5 are completely stylistically different, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I wonder if it is just studio influence.
Possibly. I think part of it, yeah. And also a shift in tone of the story, I feel as well.
Yes. While they are still like Sam and Dean, they have grown. You know, in the past 2 years, the 2 years that we've condensed into less than a year. Sam is no longer this mourning teenager. Dean is less hung up about John. And obviously there are some sort of mentions of the deal in this episode as well. So I wonder if it's more like because they have that to focus on rather than anything else.
Yeah.
Knowing that your brother's going to die. And it's almost like Dean has been given a terminal illness, and this is how they would deal with it, essentially.
It is, and I mean, I guess it's kind of almost, it's kind of a parallel to that, right? Because, yeah, he's basically been told by hell, demons, that he has a year to live, and this is how it would play out.
Yeah, I mean, this episode was good. Season 3, like, as we're watching it, more of it's coming back to me, even as the episode starts, whereas season 2, there were still elements where I was like, where is this going? Season 3 really stuck out, and I wonder if it's just because it's a shorter season, so every episode counts. Important things happen in every episode.
I do feel like sometimes some of the cases in season 1 and 2 can maybe get a bit blurred, the lines sometimes, but I feel like some classic supernatural moments were born in season 3. Right, there's one in this episode. There was one last episode as well, I think. So, you know, there's like the quoted lines and stuff like that. Yeah, I think so. Let's get into it, shall we?
Yes, I think we shall, before I go on another tangent about something not related to this show. So again, you don't have the recap, so I'll just go through it quickly. We get Bella's introduction, her shooting Sam, which at the time, for some reason, I thought he was shot like properly in the shoulder.
I thought so too.
I mean, in this episode, it gets corrected that it was actually a graze, because I was like, that's a really fast healing bullet wound.
That's true, actually. I feel like they did. This feels like, you know, they did shoot him and then were like, wait, that's too hard to actually keep up in continuity. Okay, she just grazed him. It's fine, guys.
Yeah. So Dean and Sam arguing about the fact that Dean doesn't really care about his deal. I say doesn't care. I think he cares a lot, but he doesn't want to show that he cares.
Yeah.
And then the whole sort of the ending sequence of Sam shooting the Crossroads demon.
Oh, yeah. I'd almost forgotten that had happened, actually. I don't know why. I mean, the recap kind of gives away that Bella's going to be in this episode, which I think is kind of a shame. Like, I know we have to be reminded of who characters are sometimes, but, like, we literally just saw her, so I feel like we didn't need the reminder. I kind of more and more think about it, I kind of love that she shot Sam because I so didn't expect her to do it.
And, I mean, that shows even more that, like, she must be an amazing shot because, like we were saying, that he was really unlucky, so that should have killed him. Maybe it was going to get infected.
Yeah, oh maybe, yeah. It so should have killed him though. That was so stupid. He was so unlucky.
I didn't catch if the name of the town was ever given, but we're at some sort of like, I'm going to say a northeastern town because there was something that was said that triggered me to be at northeastern. So like New England type area. And we see this woman and she's running by the piers and she stops to get a drink at a water fountain. That stuck out to me so much. I think because right now we're recording obviously 2021 while there is
still COVID.
Still COVID. So it's like, and it's the end of 2021 too. So it's just like, ugh. Anyway, so even when we get past COVID, whenever that's going to be, I will still never use a public water fountain.
I didn't before COVID because, first of all, Legionella's a thing.
This is true.
Second of all, like, I've seen how people drink out of those.
Yeah. Like, people are gross.
interesting, because like me and you have both been to Switzerland a fair amount. I would drink out of the water fountains there.
Me too. We do it all the time.
Yeah. Because I don't know if any, like, people who haven't never been, there's public water fountains literally everywhere. You can like fill up bottles and stuff, and the water's always really nice.
Well, I guess the difference though is that it is a fountain. It's like, it's not one that you press, it's constant running water.
That's true, yeah.
So I think that kind of helps with it not being so gross.
It definitely does, yeah.
And as she's drinking, she looks up and she sees like this sort of storm cloud come by, and as the lightning's flashing, she sees like a very old-timey sailor ship.
Yeah.
If you think ship in a bottle, that ship, that's what she saw. And then she runs off. The next scene will forever, I mean, this is probably why I have this fear, but so she's in the shower, and like it's kind of cool how they do it, and doing her thing, and we see this sort of ghostly figure. He puts his hand to the glass, and like water from his fingers starts running down the glass.
Yeah, I kind of like
that. Was really cool.
Yeah,
but then he is then in the shower and chokes her to death.
Yeah,
I have this fear on a regular. Every time I get into the shower.
Yeah.
I don't need it seen on TV.
No, I know, right? This is why it's scary, right? It's because this is the thing that women particularly fear. Yeah. So, like, to see it on camera is like, oh yeah, okay, that is a thing that could totally happen to me. That's cool. Yeah. You know, fine.
In my old place, like, most of the time I would check that my door was locked. There was a couple times when the door was not locked, because I'd like come in and like just put the shopping down and stuff, and like I'd forgotten to lock the door again, and I was freaking out. I was like, oh my god, I almost died. Exactly. Ugh, all these real life fears being shown on TV. No thank you.
Yeah, so we come out of that scene and they're in the car as usual, where the conversations happen in the car.
I mean, where else would they happen?
That's true. Dean's been waiting to say something since the last episode, so who knows how long that's been, but he's been waiting. And he asks Sam if he's got something to tell him.
It's not your birthday.
No.
Happy Purim?
Dean goes on to say that there's a bullet missing from the Colt. Like, of course Dean would know that. He cleans and looks after all the guns. And he knows that Sam went after the Crossroads demon, and he's pretty mad about it.
Yeah. And his, like, this is almost like, had you swapped the characters over, like, I would have believed it, because, you know, Dean says, oh, you shot her. And Sam's like, yeah, she was being a smart ass. Since when has that been enough?
They totally could have traded those lines. Like, absolutely could have traded it, though. When it comes to each other's safety, they are interchangeable characters at times.
Yeah, definitely. He kind of pauses, though.
Yeah.
And he's like, am I out of the deal? Like, he's somewhat hopeful.
I know. No, Dean, don't be hopeful.
It's not going to work out for you, bud. I'm sorry.
He believes it's not going to work out for him either, apart from this one spark of hope. And we're like, no, don't bother lighting that spark, Dean. It's not worth it.
Yeah. And I mean, Sam does make a good point. It's like, well, if that were the case, I would have told you. I was like,
yeah, like, what a dick move. Like, oh yeah, I got you out of your deal. I'm not going to tell you though. We'll just wait till the year's up. If you think you're going to die, and then be like, ha!
Happy birthday! You didn't die.
You've been pranked.
Sam also tells him that no, because someone else holds the contract.
Of course, our best lead would be the Crossroads team. Oh, wait a minute.
It's not funny.
No, it's not. It was a stupid freaking risk. You shouldn't have done it.
I shouldn't have done it. You're my brother, Dean, and no matter what you do, I'm gonna try and save you. And I'm sure as hell not gonna apologize for it, all right?
Like, I love that a lot. That's... I feel that's very Sam. Sam doesn't often apologize. He often has many reasons why he should apologize. Throughout the series, he makes some questionable choices, and I love him for that. I'm not shading his decisions, because we are where we are because of those decisions, but I feel like he doesn't often apologise when he feels he's in the right, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, besides the fact that shooting the demon was probably not a good idea, he did get information.
Yeah, he did.
And also, it's very Italian mob-esque, but it did send a message.
That's true. Yeah, it does send a message. Like, yeah, don't mess with us.
Mm-hmm.
Because she really didn't think. She didn't seem scared. Like, that demon didn't seem scared. I don't think she thought that Sam would shoot her. So now it kind of says, like, well, don't mess with us. So we kind of cut to them interrogating this older lady who introduced herself as Ms. Case. Her name's Gertie.
So, yeah, Gertrude's her whole name, Gertrude Case. So her nickname is Gert.
Where we're from,
yeah,
it's like Gert is like big, so you'd say someone's like Gertlash.
Gertlash,
like, oh,
yeah.
you're Gertlash, mate. Oh.
I forgot about that one too.
Yeah. So like that, I guess explain that to Americans. Gertlash would be like, that's very nice.
But like to the extreme.
Yeah. They kind of explain that they're from a different department. The sheriff's department is a different department from the police, and basically Dean says the word department too many times.
You're getting a little suspicious there, Dean.
There's some heavy creeping on Sam from this lady.
Yes. Doesn't this become a thing that like he gets flirted with by older women? I think I should have looked up the episode name because I don't remember it. But when they go into the old folks' home and like Cass is like, oh, I'm going to go interview the cat.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Maybe this is a running joke that like older women are kind of into Sam. They're asking her questions because it was her niece that drowned in the shower. Her name was Sheila. And when Sam asks his like standard paranormal questions, she's a bit suspicious and then says, oh, you're with Alex. You know, you're with this other person that's investigating. I feel like Dean would be really good at improv because he just goes with it. It's like, yeah.
Absolutely.
And they found out this Alex character is helping this investigation. They kind of, they kind of mentioned, it's kind of weird for Sam, I think. His face in this is quite amusing because they're kind of talking about the case without having to talk around it anymore. Gert's like, oh yeah, Sheila saw a ghost ship. Okay, fine. You know, that Alex is investigating that and there's while Sam's quite sounds quite discombobulated by this, Dean's going with it. There is a very uncomfortable hand touch moment at the end of this scene from Gertie to Sam, which kind of like, I don't know, didn't like it. It's not very good.
Yeah, because she's like, if there's anything else I can do for you, anything at all, like, no, don't be this person.
Now, I feel like people would say that if this was the other way around, and if they were women and this was an older man, that they wouldn't get away with this. But I feel like they often write in TV shows and movies that old people get a pass to do this.
So I was thinking the same thing, especially later on. This is played for laughs.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the other way around could be played for laughs in the same way.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually.
The only way it does is if the man is not acting like Gert, because Gert is acting like serious about it, and the only other way it would work in reverse if it was like I say kooky old man, like he knows what he's doing. Because
you get that like stereotype of like randy old man, right, as well,
right?
Which definitely is played like for a laugh sometimes, but it would definitely have not gone as far as it does in this episode. Also, I think of early 2000s stuff, this would have been seen like they probably thought they were being progressive, right? I know probably. It's not, but they probably thought it like, well, normally, it's a woman being put in an uncomfortable position for like having to do just like have a distraction or something. So it'll be really funny if we switch those roles. I can see, I feel like that's early 2000s thinking, like right there. So we kind of cut again to Sam and Dean as they're walking like along the dock. Also, like there's some ships in the background. They're outside. It's very bright. It's very nice looking, and there's some banter going on. Like Dean is teasing Sam about Gertie.
What a crazy old broad.
Why? Because she believes in ghosts?
Look at you sticking up for your girlfriend, you cougar hound.
Bite me.
Hey, not if she bites you first. So who's this Alex? We got another player in town?
Maybe, maybe not. Doesn't change our job.
Sam brings up the fact that this ship appears only every 37 years and that other people have seemed to have died by drowning on dry land. And they kind of talk about ghost ships. They mention the same ghost ships that they mentioned in Route 666, like the Flying Dutchman, etc.
Yeah.
And that they tend to be death omens. Sam's going to try and identify the actual boat that is the ghost ship. I love this because Dean's like, well, how hard could that be? And Sam's just like, well, look, I found 150 boats that wrecked off this coast. And Dean very seriously says, like, well, crap. Like, really seriously says it. I love it so much.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Crap.
I guess that's a lot of boats to go through, especially when you don't really have much more detail than that.
Yeah.
It's a 3-mast ship. That's it.
They get helped out a lot in this episode by like other people. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. This episode very if we're looking at it from like a meta point of view, God helped out a lot in this one. Chuck helped out so much.
Yeah, because it would have taken them ages to find the information.
Yeah. You know, as their conversation sort of dies down, they approach where the Impala should be. And I love the fact that this moment was almost like a dude, where's my car?
This is where we parked the car, right?
I thought so.
Where's my car?
Did you feed the meter?
Yes, I fed the meter. Sam, where's my car? Somebody stole my car!
Hey, calm down, Dean.
I am calmed down. Somebody stole my car.
Whoa, Dean, hey. Take it easy.
The 67 Impala? Was that yours?
His like freak out, he's properly having a panic attack.
Yeah.
Like in the middle of the street, like he's bent over, like, whoo.
I love this because he's like shouting at passers-by, like, my car's been stolen. Like, probably, I've never seen Dean as panicked as he was in this moment, like at anything.
Like, what makes me laugh is also at this moment is that I don't know why, but he's in khaki trousers and like his suit's kind of ill fit. Like, it's not a good look.
No.
It adds to the comedy because I was like, he looks so out of place and then he doesn't have his car and he's just like having a bad day.
It's like, who is Dean without the car? Just a guy in khakis.
And then Bella saunters up and she's like, oh, the 67 Impala, was that yours?
Oh, very posh. Yes. Like, of course, they immediately figure out that she's Alex, who Gertie's been referring to. It kind of turns out that she's there because she provides, like, supernatural services, essentially, to, like, rich people up and down the coast. And whether it's real or not, it doesn't really matter. She just sort of pays, gets paid for that stuff. I imagine that a lot of it is fairly real because she does know a lot of stuff about the occult. I imagine she also makes a lot of it up as well, to be fair.
Well, because she also sells artifacts, so the artifacts have to be real.
Yeah.
Well, she sells the real things. She never, which is kind of interesting that she puts the effort in to find real things rather than like forge them.
That's true. But I guess it's if you sold something that's supposed to have a specific power and then it doesn't do that, it's easier for someone to come after you.
Yeah, that's true.
So after she kind of says this, Sam says to her, like, how do you sleep at night doing that? Classic Bella line. This is the one that always makes me think of her.
On silk sheets, rolling naked in money. Really, Sam? I'd expect the attitude from him, but you?
You shot me.
I barely grazed you.
So Dean visualizes that for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Is he visualizing her naked in money or like himself in that situation? Because in this episode is when I realized that they are the same person, but she's just the dark side of him.
Yeah, she totally is. She's Dean if he didn't have a moral compass.
Yeah.
Essentially. Yeah, I love that so much. Dean is much more materialistic, I feel, now than he is later, but I feel like hell will do that to you.
Yeah.
There is definitely some... See, now, it's not sexual tension that's between them, but there is a tension. I don't think it's sexual, though. I feel like it's...
There is, And I think it's all on Dean. Like, she doesn't care. Like, she'll do it. Like, she's attracted to him, so sure, let's go ahead and have sex. Who cares? But he's not into that. But he is, and he's not sure what to do with it.
I wonder if it's because he does realise how alike they are, that maybe it's a bit weird to be attracted to her.
Maybe.
Bella says, like, really, Sam, I'd expect attitude from Dean, but not from you. And, like, the way Sam says this, like, you shot me. Just, like, real deadpan. Or, no, he doesn't. He says, like, you shot me. I'll cut it in anyway. And Bella calls him a drama queen.
And this is where we find out that, like, actually she grazed him.
Mm-hmm.
This is where it's like, okay, yeah, but did you really?
I feel like she definitely shot him. I feel that in my soul. She shot him in the shoulder.
Well, but at the same time, like, I'm thinking back to that episode. His coat is not... I mean, they don't particularly show a lot of blood in these beginning... Like, it's funny. They show blood splatter, but not, like, blood just, like, pouring out of wounds.
Oh, it's probably some kind of weird censorship thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, he's got, like... You see the, like, hand on his shoulder... I think to the, the son of a bitch. But there's, like, no markings on his jacket.
Yeah, okay, fine. We'll give them a pass because they outright said that she grazed him.
Yeah.
Fine.
The brilliant shot that she is.
Yeah,
that she can defy his bad luck and just graze him.
Basically, they've uncovered her ruse because she had told Gertie that this case was done and she'd sorted it and was about to leave. And then they turned up like, oh no, there's definitely still stuff going on. So Gertie wants her to finish the job. As she kind of leaves them, she says, you better go get that car before they find the arsenal in the trunk. Which is a good point, actually.
Well, so I don't know if when a car gets towed, if they're actually allowed to just, like, go through the car.
But I do bet that they at some point run the plates.
Yeah, this is true.
Mm-hmm. And they did change the plates on the Impala.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Hendrickson's a pretty bad cop if he doesn't already know that they're using they've been using those same plates for months now. They don't continuously change them.
I love the fact that she says, like, ciao. Like, I'm so British, I used Italian to say goodbye.
Ciao, Bella.
That's probably why.
Ciao.
Can I shoot her?
Not in public.
Going back through and, like, seeing that line and then kind of what happens a little bit, what happens later in this episode too. Mm-hmm. I just love it.
Yeah, right.
And then so now it's nighttime and we see this man, he's in his probably 30s and he's in his bathroom, like, sort of finishing up for the day.
Yeah.
And he sees behind him that his bathtub's filled up. And this moment reminded me of Kim Manners because he was the one who did Dead in the Water.
Yeah. Like
the dark, murky water that was in the bathtub. Mm-hmm. And he turns the tap and it eventually turns off. Why he, like, lingers over... Oh, no, okay. I was going to say why he lingers over, but he's trying to grab the stopper.
Yeah, it's weird though. Like, they do definitely draw it out, like his reflection in the water and stuff. Like, it definitely slows down and he almost, like, staring at it. They just wanted a jump scare, is what they wanted. Yeah,
which it didn't for me. No. Like, for once, like, a jump scare that was intended. So an arm comes out of the water and grabs his throat. I like the effect that they did on his face, like making his eyes bulge, like he had been under high pressure water or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it was very cool.
I liked that too. I think it would have been more of a jump scare because they had him staring in the water and, like, the water staring back at him. Like, it actually would have been more scary if the ghost was behind him and had pushed him into the water. Because you're expecting it to come out of the water.
That's true. So it's the next day and they're at the victim's house and Bella is being a reporter and the microphone or the tape recorder that she has is, like, basically up his nose. Yeah. It's, like, really close to his face. Yeah. And she's sort of asking him to describe the ship that the victim's brother had seen. Mm-hmm. And before he can start to really describe what he saw, Sam and Dean approach.
Ma'am, I think this man's been through quite enough. You should go.
But I just have a few more questions.
No, you don't.
Dean's quite mean because he's like, sorry about that. They're like roaches, and raises his voice. And it even cuts to Bella, like, she hears it and, like, kind of gives him a side eye kind of thing.
Exactly.
the guy is called Mr. Warren. I don't think he ever says his first name, but it's Warren. And he's the brother of the victim. He calls it the Old Yankee Clippers, and I have no idea what that means.
I mean, a clipper is a type of ship, if that helps. And then I guess a Yankee clipper are the Americans.
Yeah, so this is where, for me, that it indicated that it was the Northeast, because it was the Yankees were the Northerners.
Oh, okay. I don't know American history. Come on. Barely know English history.
Yeah, no, me too. Somehow I know more American history than I do English. Ask me about the Romans, I'll know about that.
That's true. I can't name the kings and queens of England.
Hell no.
Nope.
I can go back as, like, Queen Elizabeth.
I got muddy in the middle. I don't know the 1700s. Lots of Charleses. Anyway.
And apparently a lot of Henrys before that too.
Yeah, that's very true.
And he gives a really detailed description of the boat. Sam's kind of confused. He's like, well, how can you give such a good description of something that your brother saw? He's like, well, I saw it too. We were night diving.
I would not do that.
Well, you don't like fish, so you wouldn't go diving anyway.
No, okay. I cannot imagine anything worse. Of being in the dark, dark ocean with just a headlight on, and then suddenly you just see like a big like mouth come at you or something. That could do one. Not a chance. Never in my life. Why would people find that fun?
I mean, it's the same people who like go in like deep sea cave diving. Like, why is that a thing?
I mean, I like a good cave as much as the next person, but you won't catch me like squishing myself through tiny gaps that I'm going to get stuck in.
Yeah.
Ugh.
No.
What's the thrill of it? I don't understand. Why?
I'm happy walking a nice paved path through a nice forest.
Yeah.
Fuck anything else.
Yeah. Give me a nice sunny day. Yeah. That's it. That's all I want. Nice sunny day.
Some dry land and, maybe a moderate hill.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Eaten by a megalodon at night.
Like I would go diving. I probably would. I like the ocean. I don't mind fish.
I would go scuba diving. My feet have to be able to touch the bottom, and then I'm happy. Yeah. Even in like swimming pools, if I kind of can't feel the bottom, I'm like, well, there's definitely a shark in here. I have nothing against sharks. Like, sharks are just doing their own thing. Like, if you get bitten by a shark, you're in their house. They're entitled. But like, it doesn't mean I want to be near one.
I probably would. Like, if it wasn't so like, damaging for the industry, like the industry of shark swimming and all that kind of stuff, I probably would do it. Just because I don't know, I think they look cool. I will adjust my statement. I would maybe go in one of those shark cages, because you can feel the bottom of the cage. It's like you're not really in the ocean.
Yeah, it's not like you're really in the ocean. The thing is, I've always wanted to go into space, but space is just like a big ocean, really. So I feel like I would be very scared.
Not really.
What are space sharks on about?
There has been no evidence of space sharks anywhere near us, whereas there's evidence of sharks. I mean, if anything, I'd be more afraid of jellyfish than sharks.
Yeah, they're pretty though. So that's fine.
So are sharks.
They're not going to bite you.
But they'll sting you and kill you. We're learning things. Yeah, I guess you're seeing what sort of night creatures are in the water, but so anybody who's in that kind of region, what are you expecting to find at night?
Shipwrecks, 150 of them apparently.
Well, yeah, but you would do that in the day, wouldn't you?
I don't know. Maybe you get the good loot if you go at night.
It spawns then.
Yeah, it spawns then. It spawns at midnight, so you need to get out quickly.
At the witching hour, 3 a.m.
Yeah. It's good. He says it has like an angel figurehead, which stuck out to me because I am conditioned to look for signs of angels in Supernatural. So we cut to Sam and Dean and they're loading their guns up. Bella comes and asks why they're still at this guy's house. Sam's insistent that they need to save this guy because he saw the ghost ship too, so the ghost's going to come after him. And Bella says, well, he's cannon fodder. He's going to die anyway. Sam and Dean don't agree. Like, Dean really is like, you know, we have souls, he says. I'm like, ooh.
Not for long. Time's ticking.
Time is a ticking. I mean, technically, he's already sold it. It doesn't really belong to him anymore. They're going to try to save this guy. But Bella says, like, there's no point. She's going to go after the root of the problem and go after the boat.
Which
is a good point.
It is. Like, surely you would try and do both.
Yeah, why didn't they split up? Like Sam and Dean, they could have split up.
Mm-hmm.
It's only one ghost. I feel like at this point they can deal with one ghost by themselves.
Yeah, exactly. I do love the line that Dean says.
Hey, Bella, how'd you get like this, huh? What, did Daddy not give you enough hugs or something?
I don't know. Your daddy give you enough?
She has a good point. She's like, you know, don't look down on me. You're not better. You guys are fueled by vengeance and obsession. You're a stone's throw away from being serial killers, which is true.
Yep.
You know, she says basically, at least I get paid for what I do. Like, I'm commissioned to do a job. I do the job. I get paid. Which one is actually healthier? And she has an excellent point because she has a job.
Yeah.
They have like this kind of rage-fueled road trip that they're on. And
it's not so, you know, besides the fact that she shot Sam.
Yeah.
She doesn't actually hurt anybody. Not really. She hires people to procure items, so what, they get hurt by the thing. But it's like, so especially in this instance, she has no reason to care about these people who saw a ghost ship.
No, she doesn't need to stop it at all.
No.
I mean, they're both messed up in different ways.
Yeah. And so it was this line that made me realize that Bella is the first female character, and probably one of the only ones for a while, that actually feels like a complete person.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I feel like she has a motivation, and we don't fully understand her motivation yet, but we definitely know there's something there. Yeah.
And, you know, the fact that, like, she understands the hunting lifestyle because she can call out the characteristics, like like reading a book.
Yeah.
She obviously has history with the occult and like knows how to research the occult and like how to find and procure items, and even the people she's going to sell it to. She's a much more complete person, or a much more complete character than we see from a lot of, like, I compare her to like Ellen or Joe, and she doesn't have a hero complex.
No, not at all.
She is what I would imagine the hunting community would really be like.
Profiting from this, actually. Like,
yeah, like
it's terrible, but I mean, people have to make their money some ways, and like Sam and Dean make it illegally, so is what they're doing actually any better morally? I would have really liked to have seen them reference Bella in later seasons, and there is definitely a way they could have done it, because they have this guy in like season sort of 12 to 15 who like procures magical items for them, right?
Yes, yeah.
Wouldn't it have been great if he would have been like, oh yeah, you had a run-in with one of my employees once, Bella Talbot. I wonder whatever happened to her or something. Like, they could have done like a little throwaway line that maybe she was helping procure some of these items for him. Like, that would have been really great.
Like I said, this sort of interaction really made me think, oh, yeah, like, and you want to learn more about her.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, she's more than a love interest. She's more than... If she was still around, she would be really cool to bring back in like a Wayward Sisters kind of thing.
Yeah, she would have been the catch of Wayward Sisters, essentially. I mean, her own thing, but they are similar characters in some ways. Yeah.
And then, you know, they again dismiss her.
Just leave. I think Sam just leave.
Yeah.
Bella, why don't you just leave? We've got work to do.
So after this exchange with Bella, we see Sam and Dean, and they are watching this guy through a window in his house, being creepy as usual. And they're kind of discussing why the ghost ship might be going after these people, because they don't really know. And they say that these guys kind of like inherited a lot of money when their dad died. And I initially couldn't remember what the thing was, so I was like, maybe it's just because they're all rich people, because like it didn't seem like Sheila was like bad off either. But while they're sort of sat outside, they hear like a hey, and the guys like spotted them. They get out of the car to talk to him and like, hi, you know, because they spoke to him earlier. And he says to them,
You guys aren't cops. Not dressed like that, not in that crappy car.
Whoa, hey, no need to get nasty.
You kind of have to appreciate that. A 1967 car is still running as well as it is.
Oh, this is it. It's a classic. It's a classic. Oh my gosh. They kind of try to warn him that he might be in danger, but he tries to get away from them by driving off. He doesn't get very far because his car kind of breaks down at the gates of his house because, like we said, he's rich, so he has gates on his house. And this very wet man appears in the passenger seat next to him after being spooky, like, you know, doing the typical thing of being in the rear view. This guy starts drowning. Like, water is just, like, spewing out of his mouth, so clearly, like, his lungs are filling with water. I really like it. Sam gets a very clear look at the ghost. Like, he's literally staring at him through the window of the car for like a good sort of like 5 seconds before Dean comes up and shoots the ghost through the window with the assault gun. But they're too late because the guy's already died. He's already drowned. I do like this idea of like a ghost drowning you on dry land. I thought it was quite cool, actually.
There was something... Oh, I think it was like Bones or one of like Criminal Minds. They did something similar to this of like, how is this person dying on dry land?
I think I've seen that one too. It's not a new concept, I don't feel.
Yeah. It's just it's a well done one.
Yeah, I think it's well done. I think it's all right. In the car, they have another conversation. Dean says, "Are you gonna say it or should I?" Like they already know it's basically a catchphrase of theirs.
You want to say it or should I?
What?
You can't save everybody, Sam.
Sam basically says, like, does that make you feel better? Like, saying that, does it make you feel better? Because it doesn't make Sam feel better that this guy died. And Sam says, lately, I feel I can't save anybody. I mean, the subtext there is he's talking about Dean. So he can't save Dean. The thing with the Crossroads demon didn't work. So the thing is, I don't know how long into their year it is now. Like, I feel like it's maybe 3 months. So a quarter of the time possibly has already gone.
So. Yeah.
And I feel like Sam is feeling that tick of the clock, you know?
A year feels like a long time.
It's not, though.
But it's really not.
It's not a long time.
If you do not have, like, especially if you have an unwilling participant in that, like, you know, Dean's not really on board to try and figure out this stuff, and you're by yourself.
Yeah.
And you can only do it in secret. So we see the outside of a house, and I was like, are they squatting?
Yeah.
And the first line of Bella's mouth, because she arrived at this house, she's like, are you squatting? I'm like, oh.
Yeah, she thinks so too.
There you go. It's quite a nice house there, actually. Like,
yeah, it is. It's all right.
So it's nicer than most of the, like, motels that they stay at.
I'm surprised they don't squat more often in houses, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, they go to enough sort of desolate places. So she walks in and she asks sort of like, how did it go? Clearly she knows. She must know that he had died. Dean treats her like one of the guys because he says, if you say I told you so, I swear to God, I'll start swinging. He's already threatened to shoot her.
Yeah.
Or wants to shoot her. Now he's going to start swinging. It's just like...
This is going to sound awful for Dean, but I feel like this is where his character's at this point. I feel like he respects Bella as an equal in the fact that he can joke with her this much. In the way that, like, if you compare that with how he talks to Joe, he definitely doesn't see Joe as an equal, right? I think there's a grudging respect for Bella. Yeah.
I mean, she's already, like, she knows more than they do already about this case. So, quite literally, the next sentence, she says that she's ID'd the ship. She has the research abilities of Sam, essentially.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He respects, I guess, the hunter element of her, just not anything else.
Yeah, not the moral sort. Yeah.
You know, I do wonder, like, because they would have spent like another day trying to find the ship and another day, all of the information that, like you're saying, it would have taken them so long that a lot more people would have died because they decided to try and save somebody.
Well, yeah, it's true. Well, they may have lost the ship altogether because it only appears every 37 years. So who knows how long it's going to hang around for.
Exactly. She tells them it's the Espirito Santo.
Yeah, which is... It's not the same, but it sounds similar to the beginning of The Exorcism. But, yeah.
Play on words on that
yeah, it made me think of it. I quite liked it.
And she sort of gives a history of the ship And in 1859, a sailor was accused of treason. He was in a kangaroo court, essentially like it was rigged, and then hung. And he was 37 years old.
Yeah.
That seems like a weird kind of correlation. It's not very often that we see like someone coming back to haunt people at the age of their deaths. But
fine.
Okay, we'll give it to them on that one. How old is Bella? Sorry, how old do you think she's supposed to be?
I think she's supposed to be the same age as Dean.
Okay.
But I feel like she maybe has a bit more world experience. Mm-hmm. I think
that could
Dean's very naive compared to Bella.
She finds, she has a whole bunch of pictures and she's sort of flicking through them. Dean's like, hey, isn't that the customer that we saw last night? Yeah, it's that guy, but his hand was missing. Mm-hmm. It turns out that they made it into a hand of glory. Yeah. I don't know what that is, though. They didn't really explain what it is, rather than that it's just like, of course, Dean makes a sex joke, but all they know is that it's like an occult object.
Yeah, so a hand of glory is initially they're right. I think it's made that way, that it's like cut for a person who was hanged, but generally you put like candle wicks in the finger, so you would burn it to make kind of a horrific candle out of the hand. And then I think it's supposed to help you break into places. Like it's supposed to be like a good lock-picking talisman. Burglary talisman.
Okay.
So,
that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Because it was cut off thieves, maybe, usually, I think. Mm-hmm. This guy was like treason, so I'm not sure how it still works like that way, but yeah.
They're like, oh, that's all fine and good, but Sam's like, well, that doesn't explain why it's choosing those victims. And Bella's like, well, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. We know who the ship is, and I know where the hand is.
Yeah.
It's at the Sea Pines Museum.
I have one thing to say about this. So, like, the next sequence, so they go and decide to, like, rob this museum. Mm-hmm. Which they clearly did because Bella's, like, the supernatural Indiana Jones. Okay, fine.
Yes.
Which is probably why Dean likes her so much. Maybe he sees a lot of Harrison Ford in her. But this is going to sound so stupid. I've been to a few maritime museums. They're never as nice as the museum that they go to in this. Like,
well, you got to remember, this is like, it's a rich town. It's a rich seaside town. So it could very well be that, she's not going to the right places.
I mean, I guess so. Most of the, like, shipbuilding museums and stuff I've been to, it's just, like, in a shack somewhere, like some guy's house. Like, it's not like this, like, fancy place that you have to break into and, like, get invitations to parties to. It's really, anyway. I don't know why it just sort of, like, suspended a bit of disbelief for me. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. It's a fancy maritime museum, sure. Basically, what they wanted to do was this scene. So she needs their help to break into a museum. It's not said that they're going to break into it, but it's implied, I feel. So we see Bella in a nice dress and jewellery, and she kind of shouts up the stairs, like, what's taking so long? Like, Sam's already gone. And he's got his date with him. Bella says, what are you, a woman? Come down. It's like, okay, fine, I guess, with that line. Dean walks down the stairs in, like, a suit, like a full, like, black tie suit. Mm-hmm. Except I saw Zero Dean, but as he's walking down the stairs, that is full on Jensen doing his, like, model bit, because he's got, like, a very serious face on as he turns down those stairs, full, like, photo shoot face on, honestly. Mm-hmm. And it's only when he gets to the bottom that sort of claps his hands and, like, that's Dean, like, re-entering the vessel. Again. Yeah.
All right, get it out. I look ridiculous.
Not exactly the word I'd use.
What?
When this is over, we should really have angry sex.
As soon as you said it, I was like, oh yeah, that's what was weird. Because I was like, even when I watched it, I was like, oh, yeah, he's being a model here. That's kind of weird. Yeah, it was because he was Jensen. He was not Dean at that point. And, like, so this is also the first time we've seen them really sort of dress up. Mm-hmm. And, like, really, like, a change of outfit. Because we, the first change of outfit was when they were being FBI or Homeland Security.
Yeah.
And even then, it was just, like, it was very much Blues Brothers.
It really was. Yeah, bless them. Like, little prom outfits they were wearing. Yeah. Very cute.
And, slowly over time, their alter egos, if you want, the police officers and stuff, have gotten better fitted and stuff. This is the first time they've really had to make some sort of adjustment by choice as well. I'm not the prison one, which I can't remember the name of the episode right now, but obviously they had to be in jumper suits for that because you're in prison.
Well, yeah, exactly. I like this. This is also very much. It's the same thing I was saying earlier, like, we're being progressive because normally we have the woman walking down the stairs in her dress and everyone's like, wow, but let's do that to Dean instead. Yeah. Which they could not... What's weird to me about Dean's character is they could not have pulled off that moment with Sam and played it in the same way that it's played for Dean. And I don't know why that is.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. I guess because...
I feel like Sam's just so much more comfortable in his own self. I feel like Sam kind of knows who he is. I know he's got his whole issues with, like, being evil and stuff, but, like, I feel like Sam kind of gets his identity, whereas, like, Dean just is so wrapped up in, like, being John all the time that he doesn't really know who he is. So when he's, like, expected to play a character, he gets kind of, like, uncomfortable about it sometimes.
Yeah, I guess a bit flustered.
Or there's a flip side to Dean. Like, he either gets really flustered like he does here, or is, like, incredibly excited about it.
Yes. Yeah.
I just think it's really interesting. Like, I don't know. I just don't feel like you could play it the same way for laughs and the whole, like, objectifying line with Sam. I don't know.
Times in this episode as well that, like, you could kind of switch out the lines and it could have been said by anybody.
Yeah.
But this definitely isn't one of them. This is definitely a Dean line. Like, I couldn't... Like, Sam might say it, but it wouldn't come across as well.
Don't objectify me.
He says don't objectify me, but he's absolutely living for it.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I reckon Dean is extremely self-aware of what he looks like. Because he definitely uses it to his advantage many times. So for him to come down the stairs and be like, do I look ridiculous? He's like, sir, you know you don't. Like, and then kind of seems confused that she's coming on to him, essentially. But then as he walks away, he's kind of like, yes.
It's like he's finally won the unspoken battle that's going on between them.
That's totally true. He's finally got the upper hand. He's like, haha, I managed to not say that she's looking good, but she said that I looked good. So clearly here I have the advantage. So they arrive at the museum. I don't think they took the Impala, or at least they didn't drive up to the house in the Impala, because there's like, they get in it later, but I don't feel like they actually took it. I don't know anyway. It doesn't really matter. As they walk in, like, Bella gives the, like, concierge or whatever their invitations. She turns to Dean and says, like, are you chewing gum? He kind of takes it out and, like, sticks it to the bottom of this, like, clearly silver water fountain. I wonder if that was a dig at them, the actors, because I know that I think both Jared and Jensen are quite notorious for, like, constantly having gum.
So I was wondering if it was more like he doesn't like people who have money. We already know this. Like, when we met Sam's friend from college and, like, helping her out in Skin. So I'm wondering if he did it on purpose, because in the episodes that we've had so far, there's never been a moment where he's obviously chewing gum until this moment. Is it because he's like, well, you know, screw these people. I'm going to do what I want. Like, I'm not going to change my ways because I'm with some rich people. Like,
I do feel like he was just doing it to be obnoxious and annoy Bella. I think Dean appreciates money and that they've never seemed to have a lot of it, like, growing up, right? But, like, for actual fancy things, showing off your money, like, he could not give a crap.
Yeah.
At all. So they walk up to Sam and Gertie, and Sam's really uncomfortable. He is kind of like, so clearly what they've done is they said they've got tickets to this thing by saying that Sam's going to be Gertie's date for the night. Yeah. Right? So he had to go pick her up and stuff. He's very uncomfortable, but he excuses himself from her, and he goes to talk to Dean and Bella.
Security all over this place, all right? This is an uncrashable party without Gert's invitations, so...
We can crash anything, Dean.
Yeah, I know, but this is easier and it's a lot more entertaining.
They kind of talk about why they're all there. So they're going to try and get the Hand of Glory, and basically they managed to get in because it would have been an uncrashable party without Gertie. Sam counters this with like, well, we can crash anything. Like, basically, why are we here with this lady? Sam saying, you know, there are limits to what I'll do, right? Like, I mean, okay, fine. Like, it is uncomfortable, but they are doing it for a case. Normally, Sam's pretty much for most things in a case.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I wonder what particularly it was about this. I hate this so much.
She is, like, Gert is just very, very forward. I think that it just makes him uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, when he says there's a limit to what I would do, I was wondering, like, what it would be. And I think he is at his limit. There's nothing else that he's willing to do at this point.
I think what Sam's saying is that he's basically ready to leave. Like, they need to go get his hand, and he wants to leave because he's done with this. Which I completely understand. It's a really uncomfortable situation. The thing is, it's played for laughs because you know that he could just go and leave at any point. He could just leave. Like, he's not really, like, in danger from this woman at all. Bella
and Dean, they walk off, like, like, haha, have fun, what have you. And then Gertie arrives and she has 2 glasses of champagne and says, to us, and Sam just chugs it.
Wow. Yeah, he's fully chugged that. Wonder how much of that fake champagne, like, Jared had to drink to get that take, because he fully chugs that.
Well, so at the convention, they're like, every time you see someone eating or drinking on in a scene, they've had to do that like 8 to 9 times or 10 times. Bella and Dean are in a much less crowded area, and they're sort of talking about the security of the place and like how they're gonna get to the room, or like to where the hand is. I don't know. They haven't sort of said where it is, but it's not in the main area. It's like somewhere else in the building.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to just waltz upstairs.
What do you suggest?
I'm thinking.
Don't strain yourself. Interesting how the legend is so much more than the man.
Which is just, that's cutting. That's exactly like, whoa. Also, I wonder how much research she's done into them at this point. I think a lot. I imagine the first time she met them, she did a lot of research into them, so she fully knows everything about Sam and Dean. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Well, she probably would have known about them before because she broke into John's storage locker. So in researching where that is, she probably found out who he was and then about his sons.
Yeah, possibly. Dean asks Bella if she has a good idea, to which she just faints. I mean, Dean's got good reflexes. He manages to catch her before she hits the floor. And kind of says like, honey, are you all right? A waiter comes over to them. Dean says like, my wife, she has a severe shellfish allergy, and then asks if there are crabs in the hors d'oeuvres that he's like shoving into his face while he's like holding his like collapsed wife. It's great. The waiter kind of leaves him at this point because I think he realizes that it's not serious because this guy's like on the floor eating up his tray. So a security guard comes up and Dean asks if there's anywhere that he can lay Bella down because basically she's too drunk from all the champagne, so needs to take a break. And he kind of reluctantly shows them a room where he can put her, which is like on this like sofa thing.
Maybe next time give me a little heads up with your plan.
I didn't want you thinking. You're not very good at that. Oh, look at you. Searching for a witty rejoinder.
Screw you.
Very Oscar Wilde.
Dean is so flustered. He's not flustered by her, but I think he actually can't keep up. Not that he isn't smart, but like she's so on it with the one-liners that he's struggling to keep up because normally he only has to go against Sam, who often doesn't even bother engaging. So... And, like, he says a lot of one-liners to monsters, too, but I feel like he practices those. He has a little notebook of, like, things I'll say. If I chop off her head, these are my one-liners.
Well, so we know he watches a lot of TV and, like, a lot of 80s movies, and there are a lot of one-liners in that, so he probably knows a lot of those.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Like, when can I use this? Or use a version of this?
I know. I really like the visual of, like, thinking about Dean sat, like, okay, next time I, like... throw a monster into a lake, I'm gonna say something about this.
So we know that they update the journal. Do you think they write the one-liners that they said to it?
Absolutely, 100%. That is canon, I'm sure. That like they're writing their entry like, okay, we defeated this ghost and I managed to like burn it with this flamethrower, and I said, burn this, bitch. And it was really great. Some kind of stupid, I couldn't think of a good one-liner then.
Yeah.
Jensen's acting so good sometimes because as he kind of looked away from her from that Oscar Wilde line, he like did like a little thing with his eyes where like people do that when they're thinking about something. Like, you know, it's like you're searching the mental databases. Yeah. But like I never see it happen in TV. Like I see it when I talk to actual people that their eyes will do that when they're thinking of something, like flick from side to side. I never see actors think about doing that. And it's like, honestly.
Room 235. It's an unlocked glass case wired for alarm. I'm sure there won't be a problem.
Dean goes, yeah. So mature.
Yeah.
Love him.
And then we come back to Gertie and Sam. She's getting very handsy.
Yeah. Like, it's funny that he says at this point, like, I don't want to give you the wrong impression, because like he hasn't actually been doing anything at all to show any interest in this woman whatsoever. Like there has been zero interest. Like all his body language is just like, nope,
I'm done with this.
Yeah. I don't know where she's getting this from.
Because he goes from like, he calls her Mrs. Case. Well, he goes from Gert to Mrs. Case to Miss Case. This is like, he's really trying to distance himself from this woman.
You could not get away with this the other way round. You could not get away with this.
I was getting creeped out at this point. I was like, oh.
Right. Yeah. It is super uncomfortable. I do feel sorry for Sam here. Basically, what's he done this episode, right?
When Bella comes onto an episode, he gets the short end of a stick.
He does. Maybe Bella is his bad luck.
Yeah, I think so.
So we cut to the Hand of Glory and we see it in like this fancy case. Dean is kind of messing around with it. It doesn't really show him doing anything. He's just kind of looking at a box for like a really long time.
It's well lit. Like, it looks very nice. The close-up of... I mean, I'll take a close-up of Jensen's face anytime, to be honest. But with the soft lighting. We see Bella and she's moving around like the office that she was in. In my mind, I was like, I know she wants the Hands of Glory, but I also thought that she was trying to get something else.
Yeah, to be honest, I think Bella's a type of... She's quite an opportunistic thief. So I think if there had been anything else to steal in that office, she definitely would have got it. But also, you know, she was definitely doing something else.
Yeah, definitely. She sees like a ship in a bottle. And there's some knocking at the door and it's the guard and he's asking like, you know, is everything okay? She answers the door and she's like, her lipstick is now smeared and her dress is like off her shoulders. Just basically trying to make the guard uncomfortable and like get him to leave. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because she's implying that she's like having sex with someone in the room. I thought it was really good how she kind of acted here because she answered the door like flushed and like, oh, can we have a few minutes? And then like did a laugh as he walked away and like the guard seemed to find it quite amusing. It's even more funny because as the guard walks away, like he bumps into Dean, who he thinks is her husband. I almost thought like the jig was up kind of thing.
Yeah.
No, thanks for looking after my wife. Oh, she's being looked after all right.
And we already know that Bella's smart, so like for her to come up with that is just like, you know, it's fine. So what I think is really funny, so Dean then walks into the room and like sees her like adjusting her dress and like the sleeve of her dress. But her lipstick is now perfect. Yeah. So she fixed her lipstick before she put her dress back on.
Yeah, classy. That's what you do.
And also, another thing that made me laugh was that she asked about the hand and he pulls it out of his like internal pocket from his jacket.
Yeah. Then
he takes his pocket square out and wraps it. Wouldn't you have done that for, I guess, because you're walking around, but like even still, you already have dead hand juice in your pocket. Why are you wrapping it now?
That's a good point. I think he wanted to make a point to her, maybe. But yeah, he definitely should have wrapped it in the other room. I mean, this is how he gets played, so you know.
Yeah.
What a dum-dum.
Yeah, basically. She asked to see it, and he says no. You know, she's just trying to get her hands on it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we're back down with Gertie and Sam. Sam's like, man, this is one long song.
I mean, yeah, because they've been dancing presumably the whole time that Dean and Bella have been pulling off this heist.
Yeah.
the time cut is amusing to me because it does seem like literally been there the whole time.
She switches the conversation and asks about how the investigation is going. She sort of reveals that people talk about the Warren brothers' death and how strange it was, and asking if it was connected to Sheila's, which is her niece.
Yeah.
She says, oh, well, they probably had it coming, you know, in a biblical sort of way, which I think is...
Look, you can't say biblical and supernatural. It's just wrong. It's just wrong. Yeah.
Sam asks for clarification, and she says, you know about their father, and she uses this as an excuse to... So this whole little interaction, I was like, the actress who plays Gertie, her neck must really hurt. She is literally, like, her head is, like, resting on the back of her neck.
Having to look up at him? Yeah.
Because she says, come here, I'll whisper it to you.
Oh, and this made me so uncomfortable. Okay, right. Little thing about me. I hate people whispering in my ear. I don't like it. You could be my best friend. Don't like it. I think it's weird. I don't like someone's weird breath on my ear. I'm not here for it. I don't like it. Mm-mm. And then, like, to have this kind of non-consensual ear whispering was just horrible to me, and I didn't like it. Yeah. I didn't like it.
Do not come near my ear to whisper something. Like, you can just tell me. That's fine.
Yeah, but just talk in a quiet voice. You don't need to be like up in my space. You don't need to be your face doesn't need to be anywhere near my ear, like a situation. No. It's fine. It's
like I don't want a wet ear. Thank you.
That's it. I think that's part of it. Is the dampness.
Yes.
Right.
But point being that people say that the old man didn't die of natural causes. He asks about Sheila, like, what happened? Why do you think that would be connected? Gert responds with that as a teenager, she was in a car accident and her cousin was in the car and the cousin had died.
They're kind of equating, I guess, her being responsible for that death. It's kind of weird, that. But, I mean, okay, let's go with it.
I guess with the ghost, the circumstances may not matter. It's just your actions caused the death.
Yeah, I think so.
It's good enough.
Yeah.
Even if it was an accident. Mm-hmm. Bella and Dean come to the rescue. Bella says, okay, I'm going to take her into a cold shower.
Yeah, I mean, the woman needs it, clearly.
Yes. They leave.
As they get to the car, like, Sam's quite unhappy with the whole situation with Gertie, how that went. Mm-hmm. And he kind of takes off his tie. And it turns out that Bella's replaced the hand of glory in Dean's pocket with this ship in the bottle. Mm-hmm. But my question is, how?
And when?
And when. Unless they did do the dirty, and that's when she replaced it.
I mean, that's not the only situation, because they are going in a ballroom, so they probably have to dance.
I don't know. I feel like it's implied that they did all that stuff upstairs and then they walked straight in to go get Sam. I was like, oh, we should probably leave now. I don't feel like they stopped to dance. I don't feel like that is implied. But what is implied is that she was close enough to him to swap that out of his jacket pocket.
Yeah.
I'm adamant at this. I feel like they definitely had sex in this episode. So this is my own headcanon. I feel like Dean and Bella definitely did something in this episode, and that's when she managed to swap it out. I was just thinking about how my brain's going like, how did she manage to get hold of this? Because it's in his inside suit jacket pocket. She would have had to get real close to him to switch that out. And all I'm saying is, it's easy if the suit jacket's on the back of a chair or something.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I mean, and that's how she is good at stealing, because she did manage to get the rabbit's foot out of Sam's pocket.
Oh yeah.
But when she stole the tickets, you could see it happening.
Yeah, right. He would be on the lookout for her stealing stuff from him because it's happened twice.
Well, and that's the reason why he checked his pocket.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They definitely banged. Look. This is my own. I'm writing my own fan fiction here. So they went back into the room. The guard already thinks that Bella's having some fun in that room. Mm-hmm. So, you know,
adding a third.
Yeah. I didn't think about that, but yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Like, well, yeah, because they're celebrating the win of getting the Hand of Glory. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Bella's got one over on them, maybe in two ways. So So she now has the Hand of Glory, and we see her sitting in her car counting money, so presumably she sold it. But then out the front of her window, she sees the ghost ship appear, which, to be fair, was kind of stupid on Bella's part. I would have sold that hand and been gone. Why would you even look at the water if you know the ghost is still about? Just go, Bella.
Well, so she doesn't know the reason that the ghost appears to people.
Which presumably means it could appear to anybody.
Yeah, so it would make sense just to get out of town.
Yeah, so it means that she's got, she's going to die in 7 days or whatever the rule is.
By the end of the day, apparently. Yeah. So we're back at the house that they're squatting in. Dean is, looking at the ship in the bottle.
Can't believe she got another one over on us.
You.
What?
I mean, she got one over on you, not us.
Why make that distinction? Is he trying to point out something here?
This is what I mean. So first of all, it's definitely because Dean in this whole episode has been ribbing on him constantly about this whole thing going on with him and Gertie. Second of all, it's because Dean definitely had sex with Bella. Okay? So just saying, I feel like it's implied heavily that happened.
And we know that, Dean has a skewed compass right now because he only has a year to live, so why not?
Look, if I had a year to live and Lauren Cohen was right there and we just stole a Hand of Glory together, come on. Come on.
No argument here.
Dean's response of thank you, Sam, that's very helpful. Yes, fine. She got one over on me. He knows that he's at fault here because he shouldn't have maybe trusted her as much as he did.
But at the same time, what else was he supposed to do? In what we're shown, what else was he supposed to do?
Exactly. Just be more vigilant, I guess. But...
yeah. Not have her be so close.
Yeah. Luckily, Bella arrives. She knocks on the door and is like, help, and tells them that she sold the hand. As she sat down, Dean walks behind her and mimes shooting her.
Yes.
Come on. I feel like he was starting to trust her and she broke that trust. I think, so he's even more annoyed at her now. She used them, clearly, to get the hand, to sell it, and says that it's long gone, it's halfway over the ocean gone. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, she tells him that she saw the ship, so she's going to die. And then this is when they really do turn on her. I just put Dean's being pretty derogatory. That's all I kind of put, because he's being really horrible to her. And they kind of say to her that they know what the ship's motive is now. Sam figured it out from talking to Gertie, because the ghost who was hung on the ship, the person that hung him was the captain and was also his brother.
Very Cain and Abel.
Now, let's just talk about that for 2 seconds. This is the thing that does my head in. So one of the main themes that runs through Supernatural is this idea of Cain and Abel. And I feel like this is where they say it outright, and maybe people will go and look it up, because obviously Cain and Abel is a very famous Bible story about the world's first murderer. So Cain kills Abel, who's his younger brother. And the Cain and Abel storyline seems to be God's favourite storyline, or Chuck's favourite storyline, because he is continuously wanting Sam and Dean to play that out. Yeah.
And I mean, you see that evidence from the beginning of season 2.
Yes, you do. Exactly. It was going to be fated that Dean was going to kill Sam when he went dark side at the end of season 2. Apart from he's Dean, so of course he didn't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, of course, they eventually make it very explicit once they actually meet Cain. But I feel like that was always God's intended plan for them, was to rehash that out. So it's interesting how that eventually does turn out.
But Crypty never wanted it to be so biblical, right?
The problem is they dug themselves a hole when they introduced demons, because, like I said, it all leads to the same kind of conclusions in Supernatural, that the other things must exist. So you're eventually going to have to explore that. Yeah, so Chuck's obsessed with the story, wants to replay it over and over again. We see it constantly. And I think it's interesting that it's brought in here in an episode where at the beginning of the end, it's framed by sort of the opposite, that they want to save each other rather than kill each other.
So Sam uses this opportunity to basically bully Bella into revealing her story, because the people who the ghost is going after are people who have spilled the blood of their family.
Yeah.
Dean is in her face. Like, there is inches between their faces.
Mm-hmm.
So who was it, Bella? Who'd you kill? Was it Daddy? Your little sis, maybe?
It's none of your business.
He thinks so little of her.
Yeah.
That she would kill a sibling.
This is how I read this. It wasn't that he thought little of her, like, enough that she could do that. It was almost the other way around. So the fact that, you know, the ghost is confirming that in some way she has killed a family member, right? I mean, I guess you're right in that it could have been an accident. So he's assuming that it's murder in some way.
Right.
You know, that she was directly responsible. But for Dean, the idea of hurting a family member is so taboo that this immediately puts her in, like, the bottom of the pile for him. Absolutely no, you hurt your family in some way. Like, we can never be friends, essentially. Yeah. And I think she kind of confirms that it may not have been an accident because she says it's none of your business. I feel like if she had said it was an accident, they may have been a bit swayed a little bit. But you're right, they're really hostile really suddenly, considering they don't know the story, and it could have been like some kind of car accident situation, or some kind of accident in some way, like, I don't know, accidentally pushed her mother off a yacht, I don't know. Like, it's
well, so I guess the thing is they also know that they must have an inclination that it was supernatural based.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
So
I don't know though, that, like, it could be because she knows about that, but I guess a lot of hunters have that origin story, so it would also actually make sense for Bella to have it too. Yeah, you're right, actually.
They're jumping to conclusions though. She hasn't done anything for them to give her the benefit of the doubt either.
No, because she seems very cold and very self-absorbed and self-obsessed, that for them it's not really a leap that she would do something like that for her own benefit, maybe. But I mean,
but that could have been the turning point. Yeah,
exactly. And as we get to know Bella, I kind of kind of figure out that's not really true. Like, she's not actually uncaring and unfeeling. It's almost like she kind of has to be that way. Yeah. As most of the characters in the show do, puts on some kind of mask.
They're like, okay, well, if you're not going to tell us, then we're not going to help you. And they start to sort of leave the house. And she's like, well, you can't leave me. And yeah, we can. Which I guess she was banking on the fact that they're heroes and that they would save her.
The very thing that she was sort of getting at them for earlier in the episode, that they were waiting to save people, is now what she's counting on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Dean even points it out, like, you know, you want our help. We're serial killers, aren't we? Dean's like, well, you do realize you sold the one thing that could save your life.
I think her saying that she'll deal with it herself like she always does was the thing that turned Sam to be sympathetic towards her.
I do too.
Because, yes, she sold their hand and it's gone and they can't use that to save her anymore, but Sam says he's got another theory. But it's interesting that he waited till that moment to say that, I think.
Yeah. I think they were already going to do it.
You think they were just messing with her just to try and get a story out? Yeah.
The hand was gone. They had to find another way to stop it. Otherwise, other people were going to die. They were not just going to leave. So they already had a plan. I guess they were just hoping to get information from her and like find out who she is really. And then they were like, okay, well, you know, we actually already have a plan.
I mean, yeah, I think they were always going to help her. I don't think they would leave Bella to die, although my brain's telling me that they do later on, but fine. But so they were always going to help her. I think they just wanted to maybe teach her a lesson in some way, which is a bit messed up, really. They don't know the story. Yeah. You know, they don't know what happened. I feel like they're way too judgmental with Bella.
Yeah, definitely.
So the plan that Sam has involves going to the cemetery, because of course it does, always does.
Always does.
And he's doing some kind of magic over a coffin. And like I feel like this is kind of one of the first times we see Sam like set up a real spell himself, you know? Which I really appreciated. Like, Sam and magic is so like entwined for me in later Supernatural that to see him do it here was really odd, and I really liked it also. Like, it made me really happy.
It's like, oh look, this is a Sam that I recognize, like the wizard.
He's a wizard. He is a wizard.
I mean, he still is actually a witch, but
he is. Yeah. If you want to be like accurate, but I also like saying that Sam is a Spider-Man wizard, so it's fine.
Yeah, of course.
It starts to rain, and water has been like all the way through this with rain and showers and bathtubs and things. So it makes sense they're kind of summoning the ghost. Sam starts chanting.
Aziel Castiel Lemisniel Rabam, Erlain et Belam, Ego vos conjuro, per deum verum, per deum vivum.
Hey!
For you keen listeners out there, you should notice the second word he says.
I was so happy. So basically, like the Latin that he's chanting, like the rough translation of it seems to be, he calls on all these angels and then basically goes on and on about how great God is and is definitely going to help him with this. That's basically the gist of the Latin, right? It's all like, oh, you're so amazing. Please help me with this, essentially.
That's really funny.
So one of the angels that he calls on in his first line of Latin is the angel, Castiel. And I went back and I listened to it a few times because I wasn't entirely sure. And I was like, because the subtitles on the DVD just say, speaks in Latin. Let's talk about the implications of this.
Right. So, like, wouldn't that blow your mind a little bit if you were Sam? That, like, you've just cast... so, I know that Cass is probably a year away, if not a bit longer, because of the time difference that Dean's in hell. You would still have the spell written down because he reads from it. Mm-hmm. So, wouldn't you be like... Is this you?
This spell I did like a while ago, was this you? Like, did you help here? Like,
do you hear it?
They should have this is the thing that annoys me about Supernatural, because when Sam meets Cass eventually, are you really seriously telling me that Sam would not like ask him a million questions? Just be like,
yeah, like
just
all
on
of the
him
questions.
Constantly, like, is this real? Is this real, Cass? Like, is this real though? Is it? Like, if I do this, will this work? The thing I missed out the most, because I do think that Sam and Cass are like best friends. That's honestly the thing I really think they miss from that friendship is the insistent, like the constant questions that Sam would have been quizzing Cass with, and like Cass is. I don't think early Cass would have done, but later Cass definitely
he would just told him
answering it, but like completely deadpan, just so used to it by now, like, telling him random things, like, because he knows Sam enjoys them, and I just wish they'd shown that, because I feel like that's canon. It must be.
Yeah, but, absolutely.
Okay, so this is my other thing, and I mean, I'll definitely bring this up when we actually see Cass at some point. But they mentioned his name, so now let's talk about him a little bit. so we kind of know that Cass wasn't necessarily maybe like chosen specifically to save Dean, but his whole like garrison went, and he was the one who managed to do it essentially.
Right.
So, but I always wonder if Cass was in some way watching them before those events. Like, I wonder at what point he started observing,
paying attention.
Yeah. Or if he was even able to without a vessel.
Well, so don't we know that Cass was the one who was watching over Dean?
I feel like it's implied, but I don't think it's ever confirmed.
Mm.
Or the opposite of that, funnier, is that like Cass is just chilling up in heaven or whatever, doing whatever Cass does when he's like not on Earth. And like Sam's chanting this thing and he hears his nose just like, huh? And then just like, oh, it's those two, like completely just ignores it. Not time yet.
I don't think so. Just because when we first meet Cass, he's really not that like laid back. He's, super rigid and
That's true.
He's very much like by the book kind of person.
So that means that he helped here.
Probably.
With his other like friends that are mentioned in that, which are maybe part of his garrison. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is the headcanon. Cass and his garrison, who are mentioned in here, we've decided, helped summon this ghost somehow. Just the mention of one name can just make so many things up. And I wonder at what point they chose to name Castiel, and whether they just looked back on stuff like this and was like, that'll do. No one will ever think about it because he's only going to be in 3 episodes.
I mean, it could very well be, like, before this show, I could name 2 angels. Yeah. And one of them's not even an angel anymore. Like, it would literally be Michael and Lucifer.
Yeah.
Like, those are and Gabriel. Those are the 3 angels I could probably name off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But, like, now, like, I know more angels than I ever thought I'd ever know. I'm like, yeah.
Wild. I love it. It made me happy. I rewound it a few times, was like, it's just nice to hear Cass's name on the show.
Mm-hmm. Imagine if it was Dean who did the spell, though.
Can we not even start with that? Because I would have lost it. I would have lost it. I would be gone. I would no longer be able to watch Supernatural because the foreshadowing was too much. Too much. I had another thought. Oh no.
Say it.
So Sam wants to save his brother. He had he had all the information there of like who was going to save his brother. Like he had it in his hands in the book, and he didn't even know.
Yeah. He didn't know.
So anyway, he does a chant. Apparently this is the longest chant in Supernatural as well, according to the wiki. So
I mean, that makes sense. It does go on for a pretty long time.
Yeah. The ghost, so Dean and Bella are kind of stood together, and the ghost, the wet ghost, appears behind Dean and kind of throws him, just like pulls on body, throws him as normal. The ghost touches Bella and she starts to drown, like she starts spitting water everywhere and kind of goes to her knees. Dean manages to get up and like comforts her and kind of just tells Sam to read faster because there's nothing really else he can do.
What I think is so funny is that he interrupts him to tell him to read faster.
I mean, that feels like a very Big Brother move. You know, Sam manages to finish up, luckily, before Bella dies, and the rain stops too, which is kind of cool. This ghost can control the weather, apparently.
Yeah.
The ghost's brother, the captain, appears behind him, and they kind of talk.
You hanged me. I'm sorry. Your own brother. I'm so sorry.
They do this, they clearly wanted to build up to this moment because this shot is so long and like so drawn out of the ghosts splashing into each other, which is very cool.
It is.
But it's very drawn out.
They were getting their money's worth.
They were, yeah. From their effects department, they were definitely getting their money's worth.
And Bella survives. I do think it's kind of interesting that Dean, as much as Dean protests against Bella, he will not let her suffer alone.
He even made sure to like comfort her at least. So if she had died at that point, she would have been with somebody. That's really sad.
I do think it's really funny that, you know, all of the berating and all of that kind of stuff, she tells him that she had sold the hand. Wouldn't the first thing you ask for, like, you know, after the information, like, if she's not giving you that information, be like, well, how much did you sell the hand for? We'll save you for that amount. That's exactly where my mind went.
Yeah, but you're Bella, clearly. You're a Bella character. Because they do it for the joy of saving people, I guess.
But, like, they don't like her. So what does it matter?
Look, they have some kind of Hippocratic hunter's oath. You don't have to like the people to save them.
I mean, that's evidence, like, over and over again. Like, they save a lot of people they don't particularly like.
Exactly, yeah.
But, you know, they're back at the house. Like, I guess they returned Bella to wherever she was staying. And she then walks in the house.
You boys should learn to lock your doors. Anyone could just barge in.
Anyone just did. You come to say goodbye or thank you?
I've come to settle affairs.
So Sam is the one who can keep up with her. She then tosses them like some money and tells them it's 10,000 and that should cover it.
I don't like being in anyone's debt.
Which is an interesting line from Bella. The fact that she doesn't like to be in debt. I definitely twigged that because I was like, oh, okay, that's definitely going to come back to bite you in the ass.
Yes, definitely.
So ponying up 10 grand is easier for you than a simple thank you? You're so damaged.
Takes one to know one.
He really insults her. Like, I feel like to call someone damaged when you don't really know them is really rude.
I think so too. But the problem is that he does know Bella because they're the same person.
Yeah, exactly.
So really, he's saying this to himself.
Oh, yeah. And, she calls him out on it. She says, takes one to know one.
It's intensified since they banged.
Yes. Why are you sleeping with broken women, Dean?
He feels it could fix him. I could fix you. It's a very age-old woman thing of like, I could fix you. I don't think Bella thinks she could fix Dean. I think that's partly why he's attracted to her, because, like, I feel like Lisa thinks she could fix Dean. If she had long enough time, I feel like she thinks she could fix him. But, like, Bella is like, no, I can't fix this man, but he sure is hot.
She then turns and says, goodbye, lads.
So Sam says, we don't know where this money's been. Like, I get he means, like, it's illegal or dirty in some way, but I took it as, like, physically dirty.
Yeah, me too.
Actually know where it's been. Like,
me too.
She's like, done something to it.
She just, like, taken it out to a cow patch and, like, rolled it around in it or something.
Exactly. Dean takes Sam's money and says, no, well, but I do know where it's going. And they sort of, he's sort of like, heh, heh, heh. Oh, man.
This next conversation.
Oh, man. What?
This next conversation, I know for me, it's going to dive right into season 15-20. Just fair warning on that. Again, for anybody who's watched the 15-20 and has experienced that, I am sorry for it, because we don't deserve that.
Honestly, I say it time and time again, I don't know when I'm going to stop being kind of mad about it, especially when we're watching some of these earlier seasons.
Yeah.
And you're like, what were you thinking with these conversations? And then doing that to my boys.
Exactly. So let's get there. It's all fun and games at the beginning.
Oh, let's do a fun thing. Who do you want to be? Do you want to be Sam or do you want to be Dean?
I'll be Sam.
Okay. I feel like this will be fun. It will lessen the pain.
I don't think it will, but so they're in the Impala. Sam's looking at map. Dean's driving, and Sam's like, "Seriously, we're gonna go to Atlantic City?" And Dean's, "Yeah, we're gonna basically do roulette and bet on black and what have you." Mm-hmm. Now, okay, my first thought is, why would they do that? Like, I know they don't trust Bella and they don't trust her money and stuff, but the way that they live, that could keep them for a really long time. $10,000?
But Dean doesn't have a really long time, so why not go bet it and have some fun?
Yeah, but Sam does. So, okay.
Right, let's do this. Me and Annabelle are going to act. We're going to act out the car scene.
We're not going to. I'm going to read it.
Annabelle's going to read it. I'm going to lower my voice slightly. You know, situation was reversed. I guess I'd have done the same thing. I mean, I'm not blind. I see what you're going through with this whole deal, me going away and all that, but you're gonna be okay.
You think so?
Yeah, you'll keep hunting. You know, you live your life. You're stronger than me. You are. You'll get over it. But I want you to know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for, manly pause, putting you through all this. I am.
You know what, Dean? Go screw yourself.
What?
I don't want an apology from you. And by the way, I'm a big boy now. I can take care of myself.
Oh, well, excuse me.
So would you please quit worrying about me? I mean, that's the whole problem in the first place. I don't want you to worry about me, Dean. I want you to worry about you. I want you to give a crap that you're dying.
I'm smirking annoyingly.
So that's it? Nothing to say for yourself?
The end of this is just like Dean looks out the front window just for like ages, and then says like, "Oh, I think maybe I'll play craps." Like, Dean. Okay.
So now that we've done a perfect reenactment of the scene,
so much better than Can It End. You're really going to enjoy that, guy.
I hate it. I absolutely hate it, because this is basically exactly what Dean says in 15-20, but for some reason, the fight that Sam has is gone.
I don't... So Dean's saying, like, the first thing he says is, like, you'll keep hunting. Whoa. Like, this really hurts my soul. Because Dean does honestly, truly think that Sam would be absolutely 100% fine. And the thing is, I really do feel when they end the show of Sam going and living his apple pie life finally, that he's not happy.
Not at all.
I don't think there's anything in that montage of scenes where we see Sam that particularly shows that he is happy. He's crying in the Impala. And it's implied that it's been maybe like 20, 30 years since Dean's died, and he's crying in the Impala still. Okay, fine, he has a family, which I'm sure brought him joy, but he's still crying about his brother for the same length of time that he knew him, that he, you know, I know people will say, well, you know, he got a life, he got a family, he got out. I don't think this was a happy ending for Sam.
No, not at all.
I would like someone to explain to me how this was a happy ending for Sam, because, I mean, we know it was tragic for Dean because he always expected to die young, and then he did, which is just, things should surpass your expectations. They shouldn't just play into them in TV shows. But with Sam, he had very much accepted hunting, and I do feel like he enjoyed his role in the world and that he saved people.
Mm-hmm. I mean, also the thing is, if you look back at even just these last 5 episodes, all those demons are like, hey, you are meant for something more. You're meant to lead. You're meant to do all of that. He does that. He does become a leader, but not of demons, but of hunters.
And that's perfect for Sam, because Sam is, like, he's so scared in these first few seasons of being a leader, right? Because he doesn't want to lead the demon army. He doesn't want to be Lucifer's vessel and lead the apocalypse. He doesn't want to be a leader. And then for him to find that he's good in that role and can use that talent for good in the world is a big character development point for him that is then just scuppered at the end. Because he's taken something that was very negative about his life, that he was always meant to lead, and turned it into a positive. And that's what character growth should be. Like,
exactly. 20 happened, and it's like this conversation, literally. Like, you'll be fine without me.
Yeah.
Let me go.
Oh, it's so painful, because Dean thinks so little of himself, and I feel what's frustrating is I feel like breaking out of God's narrative, like Chuck's narrative, like finding out about that and then realizing they can break out of it, was a point that Dean managed to gain some, like, almost like self-confidence that they had control over the story. And then again, it all goes back as to, like, well, we have no control over this, let me go. Like, this demon deal, it's like, well, it's gonna happen, so we might as well just let it happen.
Yeah.
Again, where's the character development? Because
exactly. And even, like, for Sam, he went backwards. Because, like I said, where was this anger?
I do try and think about it from the other side, and I think what they were trying to do is, I think they were trying to break the cycle, right? I think that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to break the cycle and saying, like, okay, this is finally it. Sam's not going to save Dean this time. He's going to let him go, and he's going to get on with his life, because they've broken out of, like, Chuck's narrative to break the cycle. To be fair, it does kind of... it would work if they hadn't been, like, hunting monsters at the beginning and it had felt like a Monster of the Week episode that Chuck had written.
Yeah, exactly. There were too many things that happened in that episode that felt like it could have been a season 1 episode.
Yeah. Because I feel
referring to John's journal. Like, why did they need to go back to John's journal?
They hadn't used that in a really long time. There was a lot that felt like they were reverting back. And go back to the Chuck 1 theory, it feels like Chuck writing an early season episode and then ending it. There are points in the early seasons where one of them could have died and the other one could have just let them go. Like, there was no real need for Dean to make the demon deal. It furthers the plot, and it does make sense for his character, but he could have just let Sam die, and that could have been the end of Supernatural. Like, that could have been the end of that season. Like, Sam dies. Oh, it's really tragic. Well, that's it, guys. You know? But it's really frustrating to see it mirrored here. Yeah. Honestly. Dean really thinks that Sam's going to be okay without him, which is really sad.
I wonder if he's saying that as, like... Because he says you're going to be okay. Doesn't mean that he's going to be happy and that he's going to, you know, not think about him. It kind of comes across as, like, he will get through it.
I guess you're right. I think you're right, actually. Like, it's Dean, like, preparing Sam for that and kind of making sure he's going to be okay by reassuring him that he's going to be okay, if that makes sense. Yeah,
exactly. And, you know, there was a period, I mean, yeah, I know it's very different having your sibling die versus, like, not be in your life. There's always a possibility of talking to your sibling, right? The reason why I paused right there is because this is Supernatural.
They don't talk.
Well, there's nothing stopping at the end of the series, of the whole thing. He knows how to contact people in heaven.
Oh my god, you're so right, actually. Why is Sam so sad? Why are they just having daily communication? Dean's like, yeah, it's great, mate. Like, there's a bar here, got the car, sorted. Like, Sam would have been quite happy with that, I feel, if he knew he was okay.
It's like his mind got wiped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that... It's very frustrating to read this, and to hear it, and to be in this situation like 12 years, and it's just the same thing. It's just I'm pretty sure it's word for word the same thing.
I would, yeah. I want to do that comparison, but at the same time, I definitely don't ever want to do that.
You know what, I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna watch it. I'm gonna read
You're
it.
gonna do it. You're gonna read the transcript for 1520.
Yeah. Here you go. He says, "And you're stronger than me. You always have been." Okay, so the stronger thing is the thing that stuck out to me then. Okay, I can't read anymore.
Because actually, Sam isn't stronger than Dean. He's only stronger in the sense that Sam knows who he is without Dean. Dean doesn't know who he is without Sam. That's why Dean thinks that Sam can go on without him, because he did for a little bit. You're right, when they separated and he went to college. Like, he was doing okay before Dean kind of came back into his life. And Dean's always thought that he's kind of ruined Sam's life, I feel. Which is just terrible also. And
absolutely.
The problem for me is that Dean tends to frame his death as it would somehow be a positive thing for Sam. And that isn't a message that I think you should convey throughout a series. That, you know, a character thinks that him dying in some way will be a positive thing for his brother. And then at the end, he does die, and it is framed as an almost positive thing for Sam because he gets out hunting and has a life and has a kid. Although we've said we don't think it's a good ending for Sam, it's framed to be that it is supposed to be a good ending. This one can do one. It makes sense. Okay, let's go to the episode. It makes sense in the context of this episode. I'm happy with this conversation.
Yes. Yeah. Like, if you take out, if you erase your memory of that episode, you know, Sam saying that, like, stop worrying about me and worry about yourself.
Yeah.
Is not the first time, but like he's really is trying to show that, like, Bobby's already told Dean that his life is worth living.
Yeah.
And Sam is mirroring that here too. Mm-hmm. You need to be alive, not just for me, but for everybody.
And wouldn't that have been a wonderful character development that Dean finally realizes that his life is worth living and that people care for him and want him to be around? I'm going to make myself cry.
It was not a good ending. And at this point, there's really nothing we can do about it apart from do what we're doing. And sometimes it helps, but sometimes it doesn't.
I know. Today's not helping.
No.
Feelings about the finale. This is one of the times that this is not helping, actually. But get angry, I guess. Well, okay, fine. Nice episode. Bella was in it. We appreciate Bella. Good suit objectification. I appreciate a man in a good suit. I appreciate Bella in a nice dress. There is a whole lot of stuff here to appreciate.
Yes. Next episode is Fresh Blood.
Oh, I know you're excited for this one.
Yes, Gordon's back. My boy.
I feel like this might be the end of your boy, but...
No! Don't tell me that.
I feel like Bella's also in this episode.
Yes, she is.
Yeah. Which I didn't remember her being in this episode to start with, but I'm pretty sure that she is. Okay, so this week we would like to thank our lovely friend and artist, the Pixel Agora, who designed our wonderful logo art. I recently purchased some tote bags from Redbubble, and I just want to tell you that they're super good. They're like double-sided, and the fabric's really nice, and it's like lined, and it just feels sturdy. And yes, I'm promoting these because I ordered one and I'm in love with it. The design looks really nice on it too. I will try and post a picture so you can see what they look like. And if you would like to comment, I'm sure there are some comments on this episode and the rants that we have had, so please send them to us. If you would like to tell us why we are wrong and why the finale is actually excellent storytelling, please do that also. You can find us on Tumblr, Twitter, all the social media, YouTube as well, the comments on those on the videos once they get uploaded.
So, this week we found a hand on the side of the road. We picked it up, sold it, and carried on. And we'll talk to you next week.
Yep. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.